Hello and welcome. Andy here from Twisted Narrative, and boy, we've got an interesting one tonight for you. It should be a one shot, but everybody knows now that I am incapable of doing one shots, so it's more likely going to be a mini campaign. And we're gonna return to Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, but not as you know it. We're going to be doing some quite strong homebrew. I'm going to be leaning into quite a few other games that I've become very fond of in recent times and mixing it up. I'm going to be liberating, stealing, borrowing, all sorts of different concepts, and we're gonna try and, I mean, I suppose the in my own mind it's kind of 5th edition unplugged, um, trying to make it faster, smoother, more narrative, and kind of less about the character sheet and more about what is going on at the table. Now, there's going to be 1,000 comments in the comment section. Andy, you're an idiot. If you don't like 5th edition, which I do like 5th edition, why are you bothering doing it? Why not do that Shadow Dark that you're obsessed with? Well, I do love Shadow Dark, and I perhaps could do this with Shadow Dark. But there's a couple of reasons. Firstly, people do genuinely love the brand Dungeons and Dragons, and it is a splendid brand. Um, and it's quite difficult as a GM sometimes to get people to even consider playing another game for multiple reasons. And sometimes you just have to go, we all want to have fun. It seems the majority of us want to play 5th edition, so let's do it. But it says in the player's handbook, and we are doing theatre of the mind here, so we've got the physical books and everything, but it does say, this is a guideline. This isn't the be all and end all. So we're going off road, we're going unplugged, and we're going to do not variant rules, but quite a lot of homebrew stuff. I'm not going to bore you, the audience, with it. We've had quite an extensive chat about some of the initial ones. I will be explaining thought processes and mechanics as we go through, but hopefully less is more. I don't know. The other reason for doing it, which I think is a very good reason for doing it, is in 6 days' time, I believe on the 15th, Bigby presents The Glory of Giants. You're all going to mock me for me not being able to say giants. I find it endearing. Hopefully you will do in the end. But giants, 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 giants. Okay, I can't say the word giants. But it's coming out, and I'm not obsessed with giants, but they've been with me for a very, very long time. As a kid, there was a TV program called Land of the Giants, which was just absolutely amazing. And then there's sort of other programs like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So the concept of small versus large or large versus small has always resonated with me. And we're going to lean into that. A little bit of spoilers here. The players don't necessarily know too much, but there is a tie-in. And there's a commercial tie-in as well, because if this adventure is successful, we might, me and Matt that is, write it up as an adventure that you could purchase yourself. And if you like the new setting that we're running it in, we might write that up as well. So that's enough of the thought processes. That's almost 4 minutes of this session already gone. What we're going to do is we're going to introduce our cast, not necessarily the characters, just the players. And then we're going to dive straight into this one shot, maybe, called Pie in the Sky. So, first and foremost, Fliss, hello again.
Hi, Andy. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. I'm Fliss. I'm an avid fan of Andy's tabletop role playing, and just trying to wrap my head around the last game that I've been involved in last week was a Shadow Dark game of Andy's. beneath the Arena of Blood, having a lot of fun with that, but going from killing a player with a D4 when a guard has managed to take them out to I now have a character with 12 hit points.
Can I just ask, did you really kill a
What?
player with a D4, or did a
Yeah,
D4
straight through the
kill a character? Because you might have police knocking on your door
That's
very,
true.
very
It was the
rapidly.
character. It was the character.
Oh,
But
I'm
I
so
just
relieved.
the scale is already messing with my mind being back in 5e, so I'm excited to have it messed with even more.
It's going to be an interesting one. But welcome back. It's always a pleasure, as always. And well, they're all familiar faces, so I won't say another familiar face. Kyle.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. My name's Kyle. Going to be quite interesting jumping from I think it was Cyberpunk last time. So going very much a step back in technology-wise.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it's not, well, I think it's fair to say you're not necessarily a sci-fi fan. It's something you haven't really sort of engaged with. So you're back in your familiar territory now, and it's going to be interesting. As I say, I'm really excited to be able to bring this to a table. Last but certainly not least, Bryan.
Hello, I'm Bryan. You might remember me from such twisted narrative classics as Candela Obscura London 2088, Candela Obscura Werewolves in Scotland, and Shadow Dark The Laboratories of Dr. Payne.
Yeah, no, fun times, and it's amazing how long we've been doing the streams now. Of course, I've known you, Bryan, for a lot longer, and I think it was Dark Sun.
It certainly was. And from what little we've heard of this setting, what you've teased us with, it definitely harkens back to that.
Kind of, absolutely. Setting different, but, well, let's talk about the setting. So, we are now moving in to the age of fire and steel. Magic is fading. Many ancestries of the elder races are retreating, vanishing. Elves into their dark forests, dwarves into their mountain halls, retreating from the world, realizing their time for now is over. And magic itself, the weave, the weird, it is known by many things, seems to be on the wane. Whether it will return is a question, but for now it is very difficult to cause the arcane, the divine to happen. The gods most definitely still there, but they are silent to the majority. Only a few true can call down upon their divine powers and shape them. But as it becomes harder to do these things, it seems that the remaining ancestries, the majority now just humans, although there's a fair amount of halflings around still yet carrying on their partying, that people find ways to cheat the weird out. Unfortunately, these ways are aberrant, blasphemous, horrific, normally blood sacrifices to coax the weave to shape it. And this has caused, well, for many that weave magic now, to be called witches, warlocks, and for the majority to start hunting them down. Of course, there are two sides to the story, and there is here too. There are good mages that would happily sacrifice their own life sources to try and nurture the weird still. But whilst these dark times, these dangerous times of steel and fire, there is time to celebrate as well. And this is where we find you, our protagonists. You are making your way through Scarborough County. It gets its name from the many gouges and rips in the ground from the dark days centuries ago where the giants fought, literally ripping rocks from the ground the size of houses, throwing them at any who would challenge them. They were dark times, and these giants enslaved many of the smaller folk, using them to do the more mundane tasks. As I say though, that was centuries ago, the giants unseen. And the land, now mostly overgrown, is uneven. Gashes, hollows, trenches and furrows of various sizes scar this region. Many creatures, both ferocious and friendly, have made their homes in these pits and scars. But as you make your way along one of these gouges, a road through the thick forest, getting ever closer to your destination, the famous annual Scarborough Fair, a place normally traditionally hosted by many halflings who now are also in a decline, supported by the humans of the area. There is perhaps the greatest food and drink and entertainments to be found on this fair from anywhere in the entire realm. And as you make your way ever closer, couple of hours, you look at each other almost as if you can hear the music from the fair and smell the food. You can't, but it's nice to use your imaginations. As you look at each other, let us get some descriptions. And we'll start with you, Ash.
Ash is a fairly tall, fairly broad-looking person. He wears a gray hood. Not the whole cloak, just the sort of the hood up over, like a scarf type hood, or a hood type scarf perhaps.
A snood.
Yes, pulled up over his face, over his features, hiding who he is. He's dressed very shabbily. He carries a sort of a sling type backpack with quite a large bundle on his back. Seems like a wanderer, a traveler. Carries almost everything he has with him. It seems he's got might be some sort of walking stick or something strapped to his back, all wrapped up in dirty linen.
Very nice. And have you been travelling with these other two for long, or have you met them on the road to the fair?
I think it would be fair to say that I've met them in our travels, so probably not too recently.
Perfect. And then is it Yamir? Is that how we're pronouncing it?
Yep, it is.
Okay. Yamir, who are you?
Okay, here is a fairly pale young man, standing about 5'11", wearing very crudely made of various different leather skins armour. He has a whip coiled in by his side, and dragging along his back is a net that is threaded through with various different leaves and branches, offering almost a camouflage, and particularly in this sort of wooded area, that he could just sort of try and lie down and let predators pass by if it sort of comes to that.
Nice, I like it. Last but not least, Helja.
Just for you, Andy.
How would you pronounce it?
Helga.
Helga. That's okay.
Yeah.
I would like to point out there is a J there, not a G. So,
There is.
but I
there
can't
is,
even
Andy.
say giant. So hey, you know,
That's why I left the G out. I thought if I put that in there, it would all
it
go
blow
wrong.
my mind. Sorry,
So,
Helga.
so Helga's. At first glance, you might think these are two gentlemen accompanied by a small child. She's a very, very slim, short, even for a halfling, character, carrying a very finely crafted bow and pack and a bedroll, and she's got a few kind of tattoos on her arms. If you look closely enough, you think that's a bit odd. A child has tattoos, so that's probably when the penny drops. And she's just chattering away happily to Ash, pointing out different things as they travel, and possibly Ash might have met Helga when he was sailing on a ship that she was crewing.
Okay. So you are all moving towards Scarborough Fair. The last sort of job you did brought you a few coins, and perhaps you're eager to spend them. It is a site that is suggested that you see it at least once in your lifetime. Maybe some of you have travelled there more than once already. Maybe this is your first time. But as you get ever closer, there is a bend in the road, and the forest is thick either side. And from around the bend, you suddenly hear a commotion. You hear the sound of wood splintering, and there is a number of shouts going on. It sounds as if there has been an ambush set for some people travelling to or from the fair. You're lucky it wasn't you, but you might want to get involved, or you might want to hold off here. That is what you hear. What you can discuss it together as your characters, but it most definitely sounds. You are aware that this area, especially at this time of year, is rife with bandits.
Ash sort of pulls up short when he hears this and seems very tense.
Ymir will start sort of slinking more towards the forest depths to take advantage of the cover that way, while glancing at the others to see if we want to go round or to investigate what was undoubtedly trouble.
Andy, how much commotion are we talking?
It's fairly loud. I mean, the splintering of wood probably means that they're attacking a wagon. So yes, first roll of the evening. Unless anybody wants to say that they're familiar with Scarborough as a county, as a district.
I think I would have known about it from childhood tales of the halflings. You know, it's a fairly legendary affair.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
No, that's fine. This is 5th edition D&D, so give us a history roll, but give us with advantage.
Okay.
With advantage. DC is really low. I might just tell you it anyway, but it's always fun to roll some dice, and you've got a 16 or 19.
23.
Yeah, you've probably done your studies, and you've heard much about it. So what I'm going to do is, now that you've made that roll, I'm not going to ask you to make another history roll about this area or Scarborough Fair. You just know it from now on, because you've
We've
already
established my knowledge.
Yeah. That sounds fair. So you are aware that the forests sort of house some mutant folk, some beastmen, and they tend to scavenge on this, not necessarily just for coin, but for food. They have been known to drag people away. There's a degree of cannibalism as well. But for some reason, the leader of this group of sort of mutant people, these beast folk, is self-proclaimed the Turnip King.
Well, come on, gents. We're not just going to let them get torn apart by the beastmen, are we?
Circle of life. Beasts need food too.
Ash mutters something harsh sounding under his breath and runs off down the road at a quick jog.
Okay. So it's not particularly far as you sort of turn the bend and you get a good sight. And indeed, you see there's 4 of these sort of beastmen. Strange. They are not animalistic. They are horrifically misshapen. One has a shrunken head on a much larger body. Another one has what appears to be sort of almost like an octopus tendril, sort of tentacle, in place of one of the arms. Another one seems to have sort of the face is kind of like a lamprey more. They are twisted beyond others. Perhaps it's a side product of diabolism, the summoning of demons, or just dark magics. It is difficult to tell, but you can see that there are 2 halflings atop of this wagon that is sort of empty at the moment. There's a few sort of almost sort of rotten turnips left, ones that they've not managed to sell at the fair, and they're currently throwing them at the beastmen. If you want to charge into battle, give me some initiative rolls, please.
Good thinking, gents. Maybe they'll bring it back to the turnip man and they'll leave you alone.
So if we, I was going to say, just tell me what initiative you got. Who rolled
15.
that one? 15 for Helga.
18 for Yamir.
15 for Ash.
Okay.
+2 to his, so Helga would go first.
Okay, so just so you can try and imagine the battle map or the scene as it were, you are now, as you turn the corner, probably only about 30 feet away, so kind of almost within striking distance of them. There is the wagon. You see one of the wheels has been badly damaged. It seems one of these sort of beastmen has sort of charged it and seems to have just like these massive arms that has just kind of pulled this wheel off, and he's just shaking it in the air at the moment. All of them are gathered around the wagon, the beastmen, and the 2 halflings are on the top sort of throwing it down. They haven't particularly noticed you, their focus being on the wagon at the moment, so you are going to get that very rarity of a surprise round upon them. So you're going to act before I roll their initiatives. So Yamir.
With a rather great sigh of eagerness of our colleague, but run forward, yanking the whip from the belt with a nice crack onto the ground, and charge one of the beastmen.
Okay, very nice. Which one did you want? The closest one to you is the one with the massive arms with the wheel above his head. But you can technically engage any of them.
I'll go for the one with the wheel.
Okay. So yeah, you're not going to take him, as in you're not going to have advantage on your attack, but you have your entire turn. So you're using a whip, finesse, reach, 1d4 slashing.
Yeah.
Describe to me what you're going to do.
I am going to sprint forward, coiling the whip into my hands, and try and flick it out, aiming for his wrist to see if I can try and destabilize this wheel to fall back on top of him.
Okay. So would you prefer to do that than damage, or?
Sounds cinematic. Let's give it a go.
Okay. So this should be strength athletics, in effect doing a push or pull, but because it's a finesse weapon, I would allow you to use dexterity acrobatics if you wanted to. We are using, so what is that?
13 total.
13 total. He's going to do an opposed roll. We are using a pool of d6s as ways of supplementing various rolls. Are you happy with your 13? Or would you like to appeal to your companions to allow you to use at least one of these d6s?
No, I'm happy with the 13 for now. Very rushed from an unexpected. Decide to charge in. Still fumbling
Okay.
around with the whip. Let's see if we succeed.
Yeah, he's going to sort of try and resist that. You pull him and you see his muscles begin to just swell. You see these horrible sort of veins begin to sort of swell up in his arms as he goes to strain. Does have +4 to this d20 roll here. Yeah, that is a 22. So your whip, do you want your whip still to be around his arm, or is it a tempt and you pull it away?
Will backfire horribly, but let's keep it around the
Okay.
arm.
So he's got the whip round his arm at the moment, and he's straining, but he's not let go of this big wheel. Then we move to Helga.
All right, so Helga's going to go ahead and try and get herself behind something.
Oh
So
yeah,
behind some kind of tree, looking for some kind of partial cover.
yeah. This is not like a flagstone road or cobbled road. It's a gouge in the land. There's
Yeah, some of
plenty.
these giant boulder
Yeah,
creatures. Yeah.
absolutely.
And she's gonna whip the longbow off her back in one fluid movement.
Yep.
And she'll go ahead and mark the one that's furthest away.
Okay. This is the
and
one with the octopus tentacle instead
oh
of one arm.
yes, I never liked octopus anyway. And she's gonna go ahead and see if she can hit it with an arrow. A 12.
A 12 is actually going to be a hit. I mean, these beast creatures, you might come across one that has got like chitinous shell or something, but this one hasn't. You strike true. Can you give me some damage, please?
Absolutely. So it'll be a total of 9 points of piercing damage.
Okay,
from the arrow.
that is enough to take that down. Do you want to tell me how you managed to kill this individual?
So Helga, without taking more than a quarter of a second to scope, manages to sight and loose the arrow so it goes directly between the beastman's beady eyes and pierce his brain.
Perfect. And that just leaves you to act Ash as well, simultaneous with Helga.
Ash is going to sort of. You can't see his expression because of the hood, but he almost, in his body language, seems resigned to this. And he's going to run forwards towards the biggest monster.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to reach up and off his back, take this cloth wrapped staff and try to strike at this big creature's legs to try and, knock it out or stun it or trip it up or something.
Okay. I mean, there are many options there. Would you like to choose one of them?
Let's call it a tripping attack. Why not?
Yeah, okay. So you're attempting to do damage or actually just knock it prone?
knock it prone.
Okay, so give me a strength athletics roll then. And this is the big one again that you're doing, so he's got +4 to his D20. Oh, very nice. That is a critical success. So I'm going to say, unless he rolls a natural 20, he's not going to beat that regardless. It's a 10, no. So he kind of falls over as you sort of knock him down. He goes down. Your whip, still attached, pulls you forward a little bit. But more interestingly, the big wagon wheel falls on top of him. Would you like to roll a D4, please, Ash? This is how much damage he's going to take from the wagon wheel falling on him. That's a 1.
Every little helps.
Every little helps, but he's now knocked prone. He's got Yamir one side, Ash the other, standing over him. Okay, that is that. We roll the initiatives for the others now. I'm going to do group initiative for speed. Okay, so it's going to be Yamir that acts first, and then the others will act.
Okay. Then a quick flick of the wrist, sort of unbind the whip. I'm going to bring it crashing back down on a lovely prone opponent.
Okay, so we'll give you advantage because he is prone at the moment and pinned by this wheel.
13.
13's fine. Again, these are not armoured sort of bandits at all. Give me your damage roll, please.
Be appearing. 7.
7, yeah. Together with the 1 that has already been done with him from the wagon wheel, you finish him off. How do you do that with the whip?
I think as I quick twist the wrist to unbind it from his arm, bring it back down, and a sharp impact crushing his windpipe.
Okay. So this is interesting because technically on a 16 it is their go, but one of the things I like from one of the other systems is morale. You've reduced these by 50% now. The fight possibly has been knocked out of them, so we're going to give them a morale roll, which is going to be a wisdom check. For this and for those, they're going to need to roll we'll say a 12 or higher. They don't have any bonuses to wisdom, so they're going to stay in the fight, but they are unsure, and they begin to move around. As Helga is hiding behind a rock some distance away with the longbow, it means that it makes sense that they target Yamir and Ash, and it's going to be 1-on-1. So we have the one with the tiny head, but these large eyes that are unblinking like pools of darkness, and he's going to come towards you, Yamir, and he's got a wicked looking knife, rusty. He's got +2 to hit. So that is only a 5 as he tries to stab you, Yamir, with this knife. Fails. I'm assuming your armor class is greater than 5.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I only got 1 attack. The other one, though, with this kind of horrible lamprey mouth, sort of comes round, and he's got a spear. It's no more than basically a sharpened branch that has been sharpened and then heated in the fire. He too has +2 with this, and this is against you, Ash. A terrible 7. I'm assuming that is not your armor class either.
No, Ash just knocks it aside with his staff.
Yeah, they should have perhaps fled when they had the chance, but for some reason they thought they could take you. Then we move to Helga.
So Helga's going to pop back out and she's going to try and get that one with the crazy eyes.
Yeah.
in one of the crazy eyes.
In one of the crazy eyes.
So it makes a good target, doesn't it?
Yeah. You are looking for a 12 or more. Unless you want to do a cold shot, which you probably could do with the 19 plus whatever.
26.
Yes, you hit.
I mean, I said I was aiming for the eye.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
happy for that to be a cold shot.
Okay, well, I mean, you get minuses to cold shots, so we will say -5 off that. Okay,
Do
it's
I hit?
21. Yeah, you do hit. Okay, yeah.
That'll be 5 points of piercing damage.
But it's gone through his eye, so do you want to roll another d8 as well?
Ooh. Happily with my modifier? Or without?
No, without. It's a critical hit, really, because you said you were.
So it's another 3, so a total of 8 points
Yeah,
of piercing.
you kill him and go straight into one eye, which pops like an overripe grape. This horrible fluid sort of comes out.
Are they all kind of fish based?
No.
No, it's a mixture. Okay.
Yeah. I mean that's an interesting thing, but these eyes could be mistaken for sort of almost fish eyes, but you don't think so. And if you get time to examine them properly, you'll see that it's more like a tentacle. Closest thing would be to say it looks like an octopus's tentacle, but it's not an octopus's tentacle, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
But you can examine them once the combat is over, which it might be very shortly.
All right, Helga's going to call out in Halfling. You right, gents? Hang in there. We'll be over in a minute.
Give you the universal 2 thumbs up sign.
And she'll duck back behind the rock.
Okay, and then we move to Ash.
Ash will turn and seek out whatever opponents might remain.
Yeah,
attack them.
there is this one with the lamprey mouth that tried to get you.
Oh,
with
the
the
one
spear.
that, of course, the one that got me with the spear. I will sort of turn and take my staff and using it almost like a spear, sort of jab it at the guy's face, right down that leech mouth.
Yeah, go for it. You're looking for a 12 or more.
Just a moment. So many windows to swap between.
Yeah, it's difficult sometimes.
Nope.
Okay. He, in a fit of self-preservation, just manages to parry it, staggers back somewhat. But it's not over as we move to Yamir at the start of the next round. Oh, sorry. Just as a reminder, because we're new to this, there is the pool of D6s if you wanted to, if everybody was happy with it. No, you're happy. So we do move it on.
They're not that much a threat.
Well, you say this, but we'll
He hasn't managed to bite you yet.
Yamir.
Okay, Yamir will again go and strike out with the whip.
Okay.
Aiming to bring it down.
Very nice. So this is a critical hit. Rules for critical hit. Double the dice that you would normally roll. Well done. Total of 9 points. He is down as well. Seems like timely intervention, and with that we immediately come out of initiatives. And there is this moment where you catch your breaths. You can all interact as you see fit.
Helga will shinny up the wagon, just check that the halflings up there are unharmed.
Yeah.
She can climb up things with an uncanny precision. She kind of scampers up.
Perfect.
Rat up a drain pipe.
Yeah.
You would say that.
Well, all the thanks to your quick actions there. We thought we were goners. It's getting ever more difficult. We've got a small patch not far from here, and Well, business is brisk, but turnips is our trade, and it's getting ever worse. He has a desire for them. We've erected fences and the like to try and keep him away. Strange. We all like a nice turnip, don't we? But
So the tales are true then about the
Turnip King.
Beastmen and the Turnip King. Ah.
Yes. So much so that it's going to be difficult for us to reward you other than a few rotten turnips.
No.
Uh,
No. Not
but
necessary.
but the peelers have put bounties on any of these. It's going to be difficult to carry them, but I know it sounds grisly, but take some kind of proof that you have you have felled a few of the agents of the Turnip King. You'll be heftily rewarded at the fair.
Have you not seen my man down there, Ash? I reckon he could carry at least 2 of them.
Yes.
Ash is actually in the process of dragging the bodies off the road, and he looks back and goes, "Who said I was your man?"
It's a turn of phrase. Well, thanks for the information. Who are the peelers then?
The peelers, well, you rolled very high on your history, didn't you? So you know exactly who the peelers are. Let me quickly, as the GM, tell you. The peelers are the law of this area. It harkens back centuries ago when I mentioned earlier that the giants were here and they dominated many of the smaller folk, causing them to do the most mundane of tasks. And one of those tasks was, well, simply peeling vegetables, in particular potatoes. And it seems the halflings were particularly adept at that kind of sort of task, but the halflings sought freedom, and there became a time that they all decided they were going to rebel, and the peelers took their peelers, and rebel they did against the giants, felling them on the night of the lung peelers. Taking many of the giants down, and ever since that rebellion, it's a sign of office, of law, of protection.
The sheriffs, yes, indeed, yes. Okay. I don't think we're going to be able to help you with your wagon, though. Are you going to be okay to get it home?
Well, it's he seems to have pulled it off rather than smashed it, thanks to your timing. It shouldn't take us long to get it sort of fixed back on, even if we just use some of the wood from the forest to make it at least functional. I'm more happy that we have our lives. They do say that some of these beastmen carry people away to eat them as well.
Yeah.
We don't know how they get to look like they look.
Do you not have any means to defend yourselves if you're going up and down this road?
No. You have to take your chances, especially with the fair in town. All of the peelers are making sure that everything is going well there. It's not normally this dangerous, Maybe just the smell of the turnips attracted them. Have you seen anyone else?
Oh, don't think we have. Is there anything different about these beastmen compared to the other ones you've seen?
Well, each of them are different, you see. So, but I suppose yes and no. We've heard tales more than see them. They come mostly at night to our patch, and we try and scare them off as best as we can. Now, I guess they thought that we was easy prey on the road, just the two of us.
Surely you were if we hadn't come along.
Indeed. You have our thanks again. If we make it back safely back to the fair and you're still around, we'll sort you out with some of our prize turnips.
I do like a good turnip. Gents, you wanting to push on?
Well, this is just the middle of the road, so we can't stop here, can we?
Are we taking these bodies with us or what?
No, I'm not carrying them. Ash crouches down, pulls out a sort of a long curved knife, and starts taking off pieces.
Okay. Absolutely. It's a grisly job. Are you doing this surgically or brutally, or how are you doing it?
Efficiently.
Okay, that's fine. Again, it's more cinematic than needing to make a roll. So
You check their pockets, Ash.
I don't think they have pockets.
yeah, they're mainly sort of rags and loincloths and the like, really.
You never know. There might be a few copper.
Do you want to go probing around inside what they're wearing?
Took
Ash
pat
stands
down
up,
quickly.
takes a step backwards, and gestures for her to, proceed if she likes.
You mind the pennies, they mind themselves. That's what my ma used to say. She'll pat for any coin pouches.
Okay, give me a perception roll.
That is a measly +1. Ooh, 21.
All of the natural 20s. So, fundamentally, they don't have any pouches or pockets or anything else. But as you are tapping one of them, the one with the tentacle, you notice something strange. In his stomach area, there's something kind of hard, as if he might have swallowed something. You don't know. It feels inorganic. It feels hard. You would have to gut him to have a look, but
Well, Helga's been using her end of her longbow to kind of sift through the rags and listen for clanks, so she's obviously caught it on something. So, here, Ash, there's some in this guy's stomach. You got that big knife of yours?
I'll do it if you don't want to. Always good to gut the game and your kills.
Over to you.
Ash gestures for you to do your work.
I'm going to make sure I drag it into the forest so that the animals of the woodlands can eat it rather than spilling it all over the road.
okay. And it's not difficult because it's been noticed already. Obviously, Helga points it out to you, and you just feel it. You insert the knife. One from your character description sounds very much like you're a hunter. You spent a lot of time, so you are most definitely used that when you cut somebody's guts open, there is an awful and terrible stench of gases that are released. So you're prepared for that, and you do it, and you pull out, and there is a small ring in there. You also find, rather grisly, kind of the bones of the hand the ring perhaps was attached to. The ring seems to be made of gold. There's no inscription on it, almost impossible to trace. But again, it's worth a few coins at the least. Needs to be cleaned up, of course.
I'll splash a little bit of water from my water skin over to it for wandering back and tossing it to Helga.
Okay, add a ring to your inventory, Helga.
Oh, that's very kind of you. You could have kept it. You did the hard work. but she'll pocket it.
So, with taking a few trophies, or at least to prove that you have felled some of the Turnip King's beastmen, finding a ring on one of them, nothing else really on the others, but also determining that these do eat flesh as well as turnips. You carry on your journeys, perhaps a little bit more cautiously, watching around just in case, but whilst you see some people on the road, both going to and coming from Scarborough Fair, I'm not going to list them for you and then ask you questions later. You finally hear the music, hear the smell the smells of the delicious food and drink, and it is just about becoming dusk as you get to the fair, and the place is lit up. It was perhaps once a small clearing that has, over the many, many years of the fair, just expanded out and expanded out and expanded out. And whilst it is supposed to be transitory, there are now permanent structures here as well. It is a sight to behold. Buntings, lighting, not magical, of course, candles in painted jars. It is interesting, though, as you can perhaps use your minds to imagine how it used to look when it was during the age of high magics. But it has certainly not taken the taste out of the celebrations. There are all sorts, people telling stories, various games, everything from arm wrestling to throwing balls at brightly coloured skittles, everything in between. Multiple stalls offering all sorts of sweet and savoury treats. Many people trying to get you to sample and taste their home brews of blueberry wine and slow gins.
Helga's stopping at every stall and taking a little bit of everything.
Yep. And it seems to be quite generous. You know, people are saying, try a little bit. Do you like it? And there's a whole host. You can see why people say you should at least go to Scarborough Fair at least once in your lifetime.
Gents, this is magic.
Don't say that.
Oh, sorry, this is wonderful, isn't it?
Ash just grumbles.
It's quite wonderful. I think Yamir is more interested in the vegetables and meats rather than anything too processed, but likewise with Helja, going around sampling, sending bits and pieces of coin on particularly delicious items.
Absolutely. Are you in any way first port of call trying to find the peelers, or is that kind of secondary to you enjoying Scarborough Fair for the moment?
Who's carrying the body parts? That's the question.
I think it was Ash, but
Yeah.
Ash might
So,
have
Ash,
passed it on to anybody else.
would you be straight to
I
the
would have,
peelers?
spread them around.
Okay.
Yamir would grab one of the nets hiding in a pack, thrown the body parts in there and slung it against her waist as she's running around trying different foods with blood dripping from these parts.
Lovely.
Well, the smell of this beast man's put me right off the blueberry wine. Maybe we should find those peelers. Do we see anybody who looks like they're carrying a peel or have a little emblem or anything?
Absolutely. You can see that they are uniformed and taking their job sort of seriously, but they're also enjoying the festivities. It's not so much that these are a dour-faced militia. They are here for the community and enjoying. They seem to know many of the people by first names. And speaking to one of them, they point you to one of these structures that now seems to be sort of permanent, which is a peeler station. And assuming you sort of follow that lead, doesn't take you very long till you find yourself within that police station or peeler station, as it were. There's quite a heavy built halfling sort of sitting on a stool, and he's kind of got a selection of food in front of him as he's kind of eating it. It seems that people have been popping in and giving him samples all day. He's got a big handlebar moustache, and a lot of the food is actually caught up in it. It's all over his uniform as well, which as soon as he says, "Oh, I'm so," food starts coming out of his mouth. Yes, Ash?
Ash shoulders his way right to the front, takes the octopus tentacle from the beastman, and plumps it down right in the middle of the food. We killed some mutants on the road. Heard you were paying for it.
Oh, I thought that was for me for a moment too. I'm not sure what that is. He kind of prods it, and there seems to be some residue nerve energy in there, and it sort of moves. Oh, wow. Well, very, very well done, upstanding members of society. Of course, is it just this piece, or is there anything
Oh
else?
no, there's more. And Ash will step back, and the other two can come forward.
It's in the net somewhere, a little more polite with the other pieces.
Helga's distraught by the food being made to waste, so she kind of picks a few choice bits and is cleaning her fingers while she slaps a bit of a beastman's head onto the table for.
Wow, you are indeed bounty hunters. These, whilst it saddens me, are the very worst of the worst. They are renowned. He's not talking about the specific ones that you've done, he's just talking generally. You've done us all a great service here, and by this count, was it 4 that you felled?
Aye, it was.
Right, so that will be 10 gold each. They are most dangerous, and they've been troubling the roads, especially this time of year. I just need to fill out a little bit of paperwork, if that's okay. And he sort of brings a ledger. It doesn't take long. And he kind of sort of writes this down. Would you like to leave your names as the bounty hunters, or is this a little bit more hush hush?
Let's put Helga H for me.
Okay, H. He puts it and spells it with a G.
Oh, you've got that wrong, Governor.
I mean, how do you spell that then?
It's Helja.
Yeah, you're having me on.
That's how we spell it. Back east.
All right, okay. I normally spell it IT. It's an old joke, but a funny one. It makes me giggle. He changes it to a J. Sorry, ma'am. You can spell your name however you want.
I've missed that small person humour.
Anybody else want to leave their names?
From underneath his hood, he just says Ash, spelled like ash.
Right. So the like is silent. I'm sorry, I've had a little bit too much blueberry wine on duty as well. He writes Ash. And,
you're not worried the beastman might attack the fair?
There's a lot of lights and noise, and
there's also a lot of turnips.
Well, there is a lot of. I mean, they don't just eat turnips. I mean, their crime would be substantially less if it was just turnips they were interested in. between you and me, sort of off the record, really, the Turnip King gets his name not because he devours turnips, but because he looks like a turnip.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, how horrific could that be? This giant turnip coming towards you. His eyes are fire.
You're
At least
being
he'll make
daft.
his own stew.
It make you laugh. Oh dear, dear. No, no, no. Turnip headed. Horrible. Anyway, well,
Turn him into a giant jack-o'-lantern.
yeah. I was scary. They still freak me out. Anyway, you.
Same, Ymir. Would you like a stick of some kind of cooked meat?
That is very kind of you. I mean, what kind of meat?
Quite sure. I picked it up on a stall on the way here. I picked up
All
too
right.
many to remember.
If it's from the fair, it'd be fine. You got me worried then that you might be trying to feed me some kind of beastman or something, or worse. That's very kind of you. He sniffs it, starts eating it. Venison, that is. I can tell. A little bit gamey, but delicious.
So who's paying the bounty for these beastmen?
Well, there's a lot of people that make money. They all donate towards a central fund for everybody's protection. I mean, Scarborough and certainly the fair, we all like to work together to try and make the place a happier place.
How deep are those coffers? What do you think the rate might be for sorting this problem out once and for all?
Well, if you want to go after the Turnip King himself, kind of points to, there's a sort of bounty board, and you can see that there's a generic one for sort of the minions of the Turnip King, these beastmen, but for the Turnip King himself, it's 500 gold, dead or alive, or parboiled even. I mean, yeah, a 500 gold coin if you are brave enough, but it's different. Sort of, we've sent many people out, and most people come back because they got themselves a little too scared and they decided that no, it wasn't the job for them. We're not really fighting folk. We've lost our peeler's edge between you and me since the time of that great rebellion, where our forefathers and mothers were truly
Yeah, I've gone
revolted.
soft, haven't you? Too much blueberry wine and meat sticks.
He kind of sort of rubs his belly. Aye, but what a life, eh? This is what our forefathers and mothers did. This is the
That's
life
what we were
they
made for. That's true.
brought us. But it is up to you. If you are travelling through, there are various accommodations in the fair, either tentage or even some physical structures. We don't have a law for vagrancy here, so even if you want to sleep out under the stars, if the night is fine, we won't trouble you. Just enjoy yourselves.
Do you know where the Turnip King actually is? Or if you've sent off other people for him, or do you just...
No, somewhere in the deep forests. It's difficult. We don't think he's got a sort of fortress or a base. Scarborough, as you know, is full of these gouges and pits, and it's very easy for them to choose a new location to operate from. So I genuinely wish, but somewhere in the deep woods. is the best I could tell you. I wouldn't head out at night. There are creatures that we think have died out, that are things of myths and legends, but some say in the dark, in the deep woods, in the pits and the scars, they still lurk. But I'm not here to tell you your business. Um, and with that, he gives you 40 gold pieces. And he rather awkwardly, sort of with two fingers, starts picking up the mutant bits and puts them in sort of a bucket. I mean, I think they're evidence, so I think I need to keep them for a while, but I'd rather not.
Fair enough. Well, thanks for your time.
It'd be more useful
Good.
if they carried something like a library card, so you could. I have slayed you, and badges. Badges would be good.
Not like any library I've ever been to.
No. If you check something out from there, it's going to be permanently checked out. Well, have fun. It's a pleasant evening. There's going to be dancing later.
Good.
I
Excellent.
don't dance.
Oh, Ash. Some blueberry wine. We'll have you dancing.
No.
Helga will turn and out back to the fair. She hasn't had anything to eat for a few minutes. So.
Okay, so you go back out. Yep.
At this peeler station,
Mhm.
Are there any sort of like wanted posters or anything on the wall?
There are indeed. Not just for the Turnip King and the Turnip King's kind of beastman, but there's some people that have broken the law. Some minor offences, some sort of very serious. You can collect a number of those bounties if you want. I'll give you more details of them specifically when you need them.
Ash is just going to, sort of as he's walking past, slow his steps and see if there's any faces on there that he recognizes.
Okay. So for sort of my benefit, the benefit of people watching, what is your interest in this? Yeah, give us a bit of backstory. Maybe a flashback.
Well, the question really is, how much do I, the player, want to reveal about his backstory right now? He has had run-ins with people in the past who might want to see, problems created, and so he's just wanting to know if there's any faces on there that he might recognize that he wants to make note of.
So this is not so much a case of you looking for potential possible bounties, but you're looking for Nemesi. Is it Nemesi or Nemesis? This is
Enemies.
enemies.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly. No, you are fortunate. There doesn't seem to be anybody here that would have an interest in you, and therefore you an interest in them.
His body language relaxes just a touch.
Yeah, perfect. And Yamir, are you heading straight out as well with the rest of them?
Yeah, likewise, might have a glance at the board, but I'm much more interested in the festival.
Yeah. So you sort of go back out, and a couple of hours have passed, so it was dusk. It's now getting on for maybe 9 o'clock. You can see that the sky is clear, dark, sort of inky black now, but the stars are coming out. Beautiful night, and the fair is traditionally held in the sort of summer months, so it's warm as well. It's the kind of evening that is very pleasant to be outside in. As you begin to head towards some of the more food stalls, there's a strange scene that is kind of playing out, not around you, but as you're walking among this avenue of stalls. Standing on a tree stump is a halfling, and he's kind of clad in chef's whites. He's got actually a chef's hat on that is erect and perhaps about half his size. And he's shouting at a group of people that have gathered around him. You need to listen to me. I'm not making it up. I really no. You've got to, and you can kind of see that many of the people around him are. Yeah, right. Attention seeking. It's another trick. Yes. Just we've had enough of you, and they all begin to sort of start heading away. And he just rather dejectedly kind of sits down on the stump and is dangling his legs.
Perhaps go and grab a couple of blueberry wines and head over offering him a cup.
It's very generous of you. He kind of looks up to you, Yamir, and what for? You're so kind. I mean, I perhaps shouldn't be drinking at the moment, but then again, perhaps I very much should. And he kind of takes a couple of big gulps down. And then he sort of focuses, realizing what you look like. Is it just you, Yamir, or have you all sort of sidled across?
I think Helga's hanging out nearby, earwigging, but not immediately involved.
Okay. What of you, Ash?
Ash would definitely be more sort of looming in the back,
Okay.
but not like right up in their business.
So he certainly pays attention to you, Yamir, and says, I mean, you look like you can handle yourself. Well, I mean, I need help. And, well, she needs help. Please, will you help me help her?
I will need a little more detail than that. What's wrong with...
I mean, you're going to find this difficult to believe. You're going to find this, it's an almost impossibility. I mean, the others won't believe me, but it's just because they're cowards. They're scared. I work alongside the greatest cook in Scarborough Fair. Her name is Berry Baker, and she is a delight. There is nothing that she cannot do. Her pastries, her pies, they are like heaven. But she has gone missing this morning. I arrived early and she was not about, so this in itself was not unusual. Maybe she went into the woods to pick some wild berries for, well, today's scrumptiousnesses. So I went to her favourite picking point in the forest, and she wasn't there. And I searched, and I found a tangle of her hair. She has beautiful, flowing, flaming red locks, unmistakably hers. But it looked like she was struggling as if she was running through the bushes, the way that they were tangled. And much of it had been sort of crushed. It was as if something had ripped them up. And then there was a hole, and that was the problem, a large hole in the sort of muddy ground. But there was no sign of her, no sign of a trail. And when I climbed back out of the hole, and I thought climbing a tree a little bit to gain a degree of perspective, to see whether I could hear or see anything. It was then looking down upon that hole that I realised what it was. It was a giant's footprint. That was no hole. A giant has I tell you, I need some giant slayers. Are you giant slayers? You must help me save Barry.
May I ask why everyone seemed to dismiss you when you came with your concerns?
The giants have been gone for hundreds of years. I mean, they've gone from history almost to myth. I mean, we know that they were there. Everybody knows that these elder races have disappeared now. But what if they're coming back? I'm concerned of that, but I'm concerned for the well-being of poor Berry.
Yes, I would have thought even if they perhaps skeptical of your claims of a giant, surely the best baker in Scarborough would be missed and warrant searching for.
Jealousy, that's what I say. What happens when the best baker disappears? Someone else becomes the best baker. Yes, jealousy. I mean, I don't think anyone here is perhaps that underhanded that they would have done something. But I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe there is no giants, and maybe it's a cover-up. Maybe it's 10 halflings with a big false giant's foot to make the hole.
As I'm watching, does it appear that this chef has been drinking at all?
Only recently, thanks to the wine that has just been given to him.
Okay.
He also looks like he is genuinely worried for Berry, and he really thinks, whether he's correct or not, of his findings.
Helga would like to just try and catch up with somebody who had been in the crowd and
Yeah,
dispersed nearby, and just trying to hear a little bit about what they might be saying about this gentleman.
So you just overhearing rather than...
Yeah, just kind of seeing if anybody's kind of talking about, has he cried wolf? Has he done this before? Or are they just
Yeah,
counting him as crazy?
the conversation that you sort of get is he's at it again. I mean, he's obsessed with Berry, isn't he? If I mean, I think she's probably just decided to go on a holiday and not tell him. Yeah, he's a nuisance. He should have stayed in the peelers, shouldn't he? Fancy him wanting to become a chef just so he could work with Berry.
That's fine. I'll just take those snippets and
Okay.
stash them.
Then I will ask if, when he was up on the vantage point, if there were any other imprints of similar nature. It's going to be very difficult to try and track it tonight, but we could potentially go have a look in the morning.
I mean, the morning wood obviously is better than nothing. I know the woods are dangerous. I would come with you, of course. I'm more than happy to help in any way. I could take you to the patch, the place where I think she was taken, and I think I might have a rough idea of a general direction, but if it is a giant, I'm going to need some help.
I guess I will look over at Ash and raise an eyebrow to see what he thinks.
Ash will sort of make a shrugging gesture. Again, his face is hidden in the shadows of his hood, especially tonight with it being so dark. But he seems sort of not non-committal, but sort of, well, why not?
In that case, I'll say, should we come across anything too threatening, we do have our lovely strong companion brooding over there ominously.
Oh, he's with you. He looks one mean mother of a gun thing.
That's one way of putting it.
He looks a very bitter fruit.
Be aware he can hear you and you're going to be relying on him when we go.
I mean that's a compliment, isn't it? I mean, bitter is a very strong taste. That's all I meant.
Maybe you should just stop trying to be complimenting now.
Okay.
Helga will stumble up and just say, "Oh, Ymir, you haven't introduced me to your new friend. Who's this then?"
No, I don't believe he's introduced himself as of yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so distraught. Most people here call me Rye, and he kind of puts his hands out to sort of shake your hands. The full name is Rye Back. I'm just a cook.
Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Ray.
No, Rye's my first name.
Oh, Mr. Back?
Mr. Back, yeah. But you can call me just Rye if you want. Whatever you want. Shall we go?
You want to go at night?
I mean, I would like to go as soon as possible, but I understand if you are scared and you don't want to be troubled. I think the longer we leave it, I'm very worried for her.
Well,
Lead on then, short thing.
Yes, of course. I've got a few provisions sorted already. Some rations and a light, and of course my old peeler.
Peeler? You used to be part of the peelers?
Yes.
There's not many that leave the peelers and take up a chef's life.
No. Well, ever since seeing and tasting the fare that Berry created, I found a new calling.
It's your religion then? Aye.
Indeed. And I can't believe she's gone. So he kind of lights his lantern, and it's kind of on a stick that he's kind of leading forward. And he says it's not particularly far to her special patch where she picks the finest berries.
Has she ever gone missing before?
No.
Huh?
This is why it's so unusual.
You never seen any sign of them giants before either?
No, I mean there were always signs of giants, but of centuries ago.
Yeah.
I feel so much better with the three of you coming. I feel we can handle anything that is thrown at us now.
So this guy with his lantern on his staff,
Yeah.
And the height difference between himself and Ash, the lantern's like right in Ash's face. And so he is going to sort of push past and sort of move out towards the front of the little party and sort of just start looking on the ground, trying to read the landscape as they go and not be night blinded by this guy with a huge light in his face.
Very good. Your ancestry, Ash, did you describe it I'm not sure whether you
No, I didn't.
did. So, do you want to keep that a secret? But you have been gifted with the ability to see in the dark.
Yes, I have.
So yeah. You move forward. Are you basically taking point? Which is
I
another
would say
word I
so,
can't
yeah.
say. Just throw that out there. Okay, so give me a survival roll or perception roll, whichever you are doing. Gives you different results.
For difference sake, we'll call this one a survival roll.
Perfect. Okay. What is that total?
That would be an 8 total.
Okay. Do you wish to use any of your D6s at the moment, or are you saving them for potentially a fight with a giant?
Fight won't happen if we don't find the giant, so if anyone's okay with that, let's just roll a 6 and see what happens.
Okay, so that is one of your 4 dice. Oh, that's nice.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're
very
going to
good.
spend it.
Yeah.
Make it worthwhile.
Very good. So you do notice, it kind of starts to lead you into the woods, and you notice that his footprints are there, and they're definitely leading into the woods and have left. This is a way that he has been before. You also notice that it's kind of almost like a deer run, so there are signs of other movement that has happened. This is a not so well used path, but certainly a path that has been used, and it matches the story that he is telling you. And that is certainly backed up after about 20 minutes or so as you come into a small clearing, and there are quite a few sort of wild fruit sort of bushes here, some of which the fruit has been certainly picked from. With that successful survival roll, you actually pick up a couple of tangles of red hair that has been tangled in sort of some of the briars, and you then see it, a very large sort of footprint depressed in the sort of soft earth. I mean, a hole perhaps is stretching it, but this is most definitely a footprint, and a footprint of something that might stand a good 15 to 18 feet tall and carry that kind of weight as well. With the successful roll of survival, this is a giant's footprint. Sorry, Helga.
I was just going to say, is there just the one?
Well, it's that stride, isn't it? That's the thing. So, Helga, ask you, is it just the one?
And Ash will look further ahead, trying to sort of read not only the direction the footprint's heading, but the landscape, because, no one's going to climb over a hill when they can go around a hill.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, this is thick forest here, and even a creature of this size probably would not have been seen. The trees standing a little taller, but of course something of this size is going to make movement through this, and with the successful survival roll you pick up, kind of guesstimating its gait and sort of damage to the trees and stuff. You can sort of second guess the direction he's going in, and you begin to lead the group through the deep dark forest. One of the things that I kind of like about other systems, I mean, it's still in 5th edition, but is the dangers of random encounters. So at this point, we will make a roll. So if it's a 1, which it's not, you would have drawn attentions to yourself. But it's a common reminder of the danger levels. There are, of course, that doesn't mean that there is nothing. The woods are most definitely alive with nocturnal creatures. most of which scurry away when they hear you or see the light, not disturbing you. It takes you a good maybe hour pressing ever deeper into the woods, but you're most definitely following the trail, and it shouldn't be at all an issue or a problem finding your way back. The ground is very uneven, as I say. There's a lot of moss and overgrowth and a lot of forest, but you can tell that various large rocks have been rent from the ground and have formed hollows, and you have to manipulate yourself around. But it isn't then that you see it. At first, it kind of appears to be the trunk of a very, very large tree. But as you get closer and your dark vision in dark, which it is here, is in dim light, so you're seeing kind of grayscale, and it is difficult to really make out details, but this is most definitely something out of the ordinary, and it is by the time you get close to it that you realise that that is no tree but a towering beanstalk that rises high into the air. And I described the sky as being clear, if you remember, with stars, but as you look up here, you can't see any stars. There seems to be it disappears into a cloud bank. What is curious is this is higher, far higher above the canopy of the forest, and there is every sign and indication that the giant has actually climbed up here. You can see more recent sort of handhelds made and sort of the breaking of parts of it. The good news is that creatures of your size have got many options of handholds. It's going to be a tiring climb, but it's not going to be a challenging one. Should you wish to furrow your quarry, but it's getting ever so real now. A strange story, actual footprints, and now a beanstalk. Well, we've got it, he says. Right. He undoes his lantern and ties it to his belt. I'm not going to be able to carry that if we're going to climb, eh? It's a long way up.
Perhaps it would be best if you stayed here.
Really?
Yes, why don't you stay here and do your best to gather firewood?
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm quite good with my peeler, and he sort of pulls it out. It's like a short sword, but it's like a potato peeler, so it's kind of sharp, but then it's got this kind of blade down the side.
Sure, why not? Never mind. Come along.
He puts it back and gives you a big smile.
I don't think your thought process was out of line. If we are able to retrieve Berry, we would prefer to cut off the giants from being able to get close to the fair. Perhaps burn it on our way out.
We probably should just see what happens.
We could always chop it down.
Guessing this is an extremely thick bean.
Yeah, it's a massive chunk, but I mean, you would need the appropriate things. Trying to do this with a whip, for instance, would not be very efficient.
Got me hand axe.
Why don't you try that? Meanwhile, Ash turns and starts climbing up.
Okay, very nice.
Okay. Going to suggest resting before such an arduous climb, but let us go.
Okay. Well, Rye is very keen and sort of starts clambering up as well. Sounds very much like Yamir and Helga, you are going to follow suit.
I'm not going to let him go off on his own. We all know what happened last time.
Okay. So you begin to climb, and it is a big climb. You rapidly and very easily manage to get above the canopy. And it's kind of strange, sort of being higher than the forest now. You can sort of look down upon Scarborough County, and you can see the fair and the large clearing and all of the pretty lights and glinting. But there's something else that you see as you sort of peer out. It's a cloudless sky apart from the cloud bank above you. But you can actually see now as you're clambering high upon this stalk, other beanstalks, distances, right across the county, going up into other cloud banks. The only thing that you can really think of is there must be some remnant of the weird, of the weave, of some kind of magic that somehow obscures them, somehow causes people to overlook them. But right across from this large height, you can probably see about 30 other stalks. Good distance away. We're talking, maybe 100 miles in several different directions. But this isn't the only one.
Gosh.
Ash pauses in climbing and grumbles something under his breath about, "We have a very large problem."
I like it. I like it. You can have GM's inspiration for that. I mean, GM's inspiration should be for in-character stuff, but I'd quite happily give it out for puns as well.
Yeah, I couldn't say it was a giant problem, but that would have been, no.
But with GM's inspiration also comes huge peril. As you sort of reach up, you don't notice that underneath one of the big leaves overhang, there seems to be a small roost of sturges. And you just climb up and do it, and suddenly, like bats, these are tiny creatures, but thirsty for blood, that they all start swarming around. Of course, you're going to need to be fighting with one hand holding the beanstalk. Can we all go to initiatives, please?
Goodness. Oh, dear.
So they haven't got a surprise on you. These were disturbed. So we'll just rapidly go. Helga, what did you get?
21.
Wow, look at you. Yamir.
18.
Nice. Get these good rolls out of the way. Ash, what did you get?
15.
Okay. Ash. Right. I should have written all of these down, but as we are on video, I better get the initiatives of my non-homebrew Sturges. Here we go, sorted.
How many Sturges?
They have +3. Because you asked that question, can you give me
A D12?
a D12? No, they're far too swingy. There might only be one. Can you give me a D4 +2, please?
Okay. The number is 3.
3. Very nice. So yeah, you got lucky there with only 3 of them. Again, for speed's sake, we're going to give them the same initiative, and they've got +3 to this roll. Oh, look at that. So they're going on 21 as well.
I also have +3.
I like to default to the players having one. I mean, you could argue it's simultaneous. You could argue that it depends on your initiative modifier, but I always like to think that you are the heroes and therefore should try and act first. So Helga, these are tiny creatures, horrible proboscis.
Proboscis.
Yeah,
Proboscis.
and you know that when they latch onto you, they sort of start draining blood. But yeah, no longbow for you unless you're going to do something
No.
incredibly crazy.
So I actually had a torch lit because halflings obviously don't have dark vision, and
Yeah,
I wouldn't be comfortable in the dark. So what I would like to do is swing at one of the sturges with my lit torch
absolutely.
on the basis they might not like fire.
And again, sort of homebrew mechanics. Some people say that a torch is an improvised weapon. I would say it's a flaming club, which is a simple weapon. You're a fighter as well, so I'm going to say you can just use your strength,
Yeah.
you know, and your proficiency because you're a fighter.
Yep. Okay. So I'll take a big swing at them and roll a 1. Natural 1.
Yeah, D6s are not going to help you with that. That is
No.
a fail.
I mean, do I drop my torch? That's the question.
I mean, this is a question for the homebrew game. Do you want fumbles? Do you want miscast? This is a question to you, the players. You know, what kind of game do you want it to be?
I mean, I think for our sins, back when we started with Shadow Dark, we were all very encouraged and very much enjoying the narrative, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think fumbles are definitely cinematic and probably should be implemented.
I like the way you two that haven't rolled a natural one.
Throwing me under the bus.
Nor do I need a torch.
Fliss is always the one to go first, so she can be the first to fumble.
That's fine. As Helga goes
Okay.
swiping for the sturge, she loses her grip on her torch.
Okay, and I mean, I'm not going to obviously make you fall, or I'm not going to let it fall on anybody else either for the moment.
Oh, thank.
Could
it just fall on Yamir's head, please?
I mean, it can do. I mean, it could set the whole beanstalk alight if you wanted to. There's a whole sort of narrative.
Yes.
Of,
Well, now we know there's hundreds of beanstalks. It's not a problem.
Yeah. Shall we set it on fire? Well, I think I might have already done that already. So what I'm going to do, you roll me just a dexterity check.
Okay.
If you get higher than a 10, you just drop it. Sorry, if you get lower than a 10, you don't just try. Yeah.
It's an 8.
An 8, okay. So you drop it, but it's a bad drop. Would you like to set fire to the stalk or have it hit one of your companions?
I think it should hit Yamir on the way down.
Okay. Yamir, can you give me a dexterity saving throw? We'll say DC 13.
12.
12, no. So it does, it clubs you. It's not going to set you alight unless you have soaked all of your clothes in flaming oil, which I don't think you have. But you will take 1d4 fire damage. Who would like to roll that? Ash, how about you? Seems your name's appropriate.
Yeah, but it was Fliss who dropped the torch.
Well, it was Helga that dropped the torch. Fliss has absolutely nothing to do with this.
Fine, I'll do it. 3 points of damage.
But it's at this point that I realise we are only first level characters as well. So yeah, it kind of burns you, and then sort of tumbles down. And as it tumbles down, you begin to realise that this combat is taking about 500 feet in the air, and it is a very long way down.
Hurry, Yamir! Oh, wait! Oh my god.
Too late.
Okay, fine.
No
Lucky. No. Everyone, remind me I'm a halfling, for God's sake.
Look.
I think now the narrative has spoken.
We're not undoing that. No, don't you worry, Andy.
But we do have 3 sturges that are going to attack. So the first one is... I'm just going to attack you, the heroes. It's definitely going to attack you, Ash, because you put your hand into the little roost. So the first one, they do have +5 to hit. So that's a 17.
Yeah, that does it.
Okay, and it will be 1d4 + 3 piercing damage. That is 7 points of damage.
Going to be a TPK from 3 Sturges.
It could well be.
If so, it's entirely attributed to the torch.
Yes. You might not get any joint action. The second one is going to... You two are further down, and there is Ryback. So on a 1 to 2, it's Helga. 3 to 4, it's Yamir. 5 to 6, it is Ryback. It is you, Helga, as it comes in.
Probably the one I was swiping at.
Yeah. That is an 18. Wow, that is another 7 points of damage. These are killer Sturges.
Oh.
Are you still up? I'm assuming you're
I'm up. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Fighter. In it.
And then on a 1 to 3, it's Yamir. 4, 5, and 6, it is Ryback. It's you, Yamir.
Don't kill him.
That is a 17. No, sorry, it's an 18.
It will hit.
Oh, that's another 4 on the dice. That's 7. Is that enough to render you unconscious?
You
This is
didn't even
not.
let us buy any healing potions.
Wow, that was a severe round of 3, and it could have got worse. We did randomize the number of Sturges, but we move to Yamir now. Surely, this is... You need to get rid of these, because these have now lodged onto you, and they're going to do auto damage, sucking your blood at the start of their turn.
Love a good Sturge.
Yeah.
Hey, I guess I will grab a dagger from my belt and try and stab it.
Okay. So, boom, 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 boom. I'm going to homebrew this. Because it's attached to you now and unmoving, you're still going to have to hit it. You're still in kind of a pressured situation, but I'm going to reduce its armor class of 14 down to 11. I'm taking away its dexterity modifier from it because it's not moving anymore. I would also like to remind you, yeah, that's a hit.
Dagger's a d4. Well, it's a finesse weapon, so 6 damage total.
Yeah, that's enough. These, in transparency, have 2 hit points. So, how do you get rid of this one?
So flinch down from the torch, not noticing as it comes in to bite me. Go grab this dagger from the top of my... I'll say from the top of the netting that I use as a pack, and sort of jam it into the sturge and throw it into the beanstalk to help me progress up.
Perfect. Love it. That is one of the 3 Sturges down. Ash, you have a Sturge on you as well.
Yeah, I'm going to just physically grab it and try and wrench it out.
Okay. I'm going to give you an option then, which you can do. You can use Strength Athletics, which is a composed strength check. This is a tiny creature and has -3 to its strength, but still could roll good. Or you could just do that, but do your damage to it if you wanted to attack it.
+2 to athletics, +4. No. I'm sorry. I'm completely wrong. So this thing is buried its
Yeah.
big, long, needly mouth into me.
Yeah.
I would like to rage because I'm really angry about this.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah. How does your rage look?
In this moment, panic actually, which seems it's actually around the back of him, and he seems desperate to get it off the back of him for some reason, and he's almost flailing at it. For a moment, he lets go with the other hand before he realizes, oh wait, I'm 500 feet up in the air, and grabs back on the beanstalk. So at this moment, it's like an adrenaline rush. So that'll be what that is.
Perfect. So it's a bonus action for you to rage.
Advantage on strength checks and saving throws. Excellent.
Yeah, so you're going to do strength athletics, yeah? But with
Yeah.
advantage. Wow, that's an 18 without
Don't think I'll need
advantage.
it.
Well, okay.
Okay, I'll roll it.
You've got a modifier to that. So what is your total score?
I've got a 20 and a 16.
Yeah, but the 20, even with my maths, I'm going to write it. It's a 19, but it does have -3. So you easily, I'm going to say, when you do a push action or a prone action, you can move it sort of 5 feet. So I'm just going to say, because of you kind of wrench it off you and just slam it at the beanstalk, because you can basically throw a tiny creature
Yeah,
like that.
definitely. It's just sort of bludgeoning it against the stalk.
Yeah. And it pops, and there is just like your blood that it has kind of just spurts out over you.
I was going to say, can it fall all over our halfling?
Yes, I suppose so. Oh, wow. Talking of our halfling, we start round 2, and it's Helga's go. There's one of these on you as well. Oh,
So Andy,
sorry. Actually, if you want, Ryback is trying to clamber up and attack the one. Do you want to tell him to stop? Do you want him
I'll
to
wave
come
him off.
closer with his peeler that he's got in
No,
one hand?
no, I
I can
don't want
shave it
that.
off you. I can peel it off. Okay.
Fine, I got it. I got this. I just wanted to know, Andy, is this Curly, Larry, or Mo that I've got sticking out of me? Which of the 3 Sturges is it?
Very good. You can have GM's inspiration, because that is genius.
Okay, thank you very much. I might need it after that one.
And so the tone is set.
The tone is set, yes.
So I'm going to pull out a. I mean, can I stab it with a rapier?
Yeah. I mean, you can.
I'll try and go up from underneath and kind of get it off my shoulder. So I'll go ahead and roll to see if I can get it with my rapier.
Okay, I say I'm going to take 3 off its armor class, so you need an 11.
Yeah, that's fine. Should be manageable for her. So 15.
Yep, that is bigger than the 11.
It is bigger than 11, so I'll just go ahead and roll E1d8.
Yeah.
So 7 points of damage. It should be absolutely skewered.
It is only 2 hit points, and again that one pops and. Psh.
And I'll just kind of flick it, because I'm very good with my rapier. I'll just flick it so it flies up and kind of lands on or near Ash's pack, maybe, spraying some gore as it flies.
There is, I mean, it's like a scene from Dexter here now with. And bizarrely, it's all of your own blood that you're splashing around rather than the Sturges. But it seems to make you happy. And poor Rye, I mean, he's got chefed whites on, and he's just now he looks like a Jason Pollock painting.
He started it. Don't look at me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just pleased that is everybody okay? You.
Oof. I've had worse. Is everyone else all right? Sorry, Yamir,
Ow.
didn't mean to get you with the torch.
Ash is busy trying to check something in his pack. Sort of, unfortunately, he can't twist his head all the way around to look.
Yeah.
But he takes a moment and then seems, yeah, and he grabs the dead sturge and flings it away. I'll climb more carefully.
But you didn't spend your GM's inspiration, so you're okay. Sorry, Yamir.
You guys keep going for a second. I just need a moment, and I'll pull myself up on one of the larger leaves.
Okay. This is going to be interesting. Of course, that's what he's asked you to do. The reality is what do you do?
I'm not hanging around. The Sturges might have friends.
Yeah. So you carry on up, Helga. Same with you, Ash. That was a question rather than a statement.
No, I'll carry on up.
Yeah.
You know, man needs a minute.
Yeah. No one wants to see someone pee from the top of a beanstalk.
We're at the top already, are we?
No. Well, you will be as you sort of carry on up. Rybeck follows you up. He says, I've packed some food for us. When we get to the top, we can maybe take a breather and maybe a little bit of a picnic might perk us up a little. So
now you're talking.
You carry on up, and Yamir, what are you going to try and do?
Yamir is going to try and center himself, feeling the beanstalk under his feet, his sort of connection to the natural world and the area he's familiar with, and is going to attempt to lay on hands to himself.
Okay. So this is an interesting one. Lay on hands, is it magical, isn't it? It's one of the big issues of questioning. I'm going to say it's the equivalent of a cantrip. I think that is fair. So I'm going to ask you to tell me how many points you want to try and cure as you call out to your god. For people that are watching, we are homebrewing magic here in the fact that magic is fading. The ancient and elder races are retreating back. So no magical effect is automatic and requires a certain DC to do. So you call out to your god, see whether you can channel the power of the gods through you.
I will be trying to heal 3 hit points.
Okay. So we'll say just the same as a cantrip. The DCs that we have established are 10 plus technically the level of the spell.
Okay, so just be spellcasting modifier.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely no problem. Oh, so much so that someone, in fact it was Ash, felt that disturbance in the force and has disappeared. So yeah, you heal yourself 3 hit points.
Then I will continue heading up with the others.
Do you want to give us a little bit of narrative of how that looks, how it feels, that kind of thing, really?
Yeah, as I'm centering myself, feeling the beanstalk beneath it, laying my hand against the stalk and calling out to something I don't quite understand, but felt a connection with due to my large amounts of times in nature. A sort of perhaps a slight green glow coming up through the beanstalk.
Beanstalk itself. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a natural phenomenon. It's just much bigger than normal, and yeah, you kind of tap into it and you do manage to recover somewhat, and then you carry on up and up and up. By the time you start getting near to the top, you cannot see down anymore. You are making your way through a cloud bank of sort of damp moisture. Visibility becomes almost zero, although you can see the beanstalk still as you are clambering up. And it's kind of strange as you get towards the top. It's almost as if you climb through a hole in this cloud bank. It begins to clear again, and there are large runners that come off this beanstalk that sort of lay flat upon the upper surface of this cloud bank as if it was perhaps solid. I mean, the other thing that makes you think it is solid is the huge ruin that is also up here. There is a large castle, fortress, that has definitely seen much better state. It is sized for a creature 15 to 18 foot tall, or creatures. But time has definitely had its toll upon this as large columns have collapsed down. There is little left of it, and you can see the doors, these huge two double doors, splintered and rotten, one of them laying completely off, leading into what would be a great hall. You can see that much of the roof has collapsed in as well. This is just as you climb up and get to the surface. You can obviously explore it substantially better once you are all up there.
What do you suppose a giant's doing in a ruin?
Oh, probably eating the halfling.
No, we need to hurry.
Sorry, was that out loud?
Yes. It's also night time as well, so you can now, once you're above this cloud bank, see the stars even brighter and the full moon, and it's giving the whole of this kind of strange silvery sort of glow, light from the moon and shadow.
Reckon we can walk on this cloud?
Well, if we can't, we'll find out very quickly, won't we?
You first, Ash.
I take my staff from where it's slung over my shoulder and proceed.
Okay, so yeah, you can move down the runner of the beanstalk onto quite a large leaf, and you sort of prod it, and it's like soft earth. It gives a little, but then no more as you put your staff in. And in fact, you don't even need to make any perception rolls or survival rolls. You can actually see the giant, the quarry that you've been following, his footprints, as if it's in like fresh snow in the cloud going towards the main doors.
I suppose we'll follow after him then.
I wouldn't mind that picnic.
Yeah, what's our plan? We're just gonna go charging in, ask for her back.
I've got my
Maybe
peeler.
Perhaps we could try and sneak in and out without actually confronting such a beast.
Don't speak giant. Maybe we could talk to it.
Oddly enough, I don't believe I know a dead tongue. Well, thought to be dead.
Sneaking it is. Where are we gonna rest? If you want to rest, it seems a bit daft to rest here in the open.
As I say, there's large amounts of tumbled stone, and this is giant sized, so it's going to be relatively easy as you, almost the size of vermin, can find a rat hole to hide in.
What about down there in that hollow? Quick rest?
A short rest would probably be sufficient.
With the picnic? What type of sandwiches do you bring?
Well, the best peanuts, kind of mashed into a butter spread,
Mm.
and then some of the finest strawberry conserve as well, to give it that texture and sort of saltiness, but also sweetness.
Ash just grumbles and moves slightly away from the party, and will keep to himself.
Sorry, do you have any allergies?
Ash doesn't say anything. He just sort of sits there with his hood up.
Halflings is your allergy.
Don't worry, Ash. I'll have yours.
He, out of his backpack, brings a sort of picnic basket out and kind of opens it up, and he lays a sort of ground sheet down and serviettes and sort of plates, and puts the sandwiches out, and he's got some freshly squeezed orange juice as well. And he says, of course, if people don't like the sandwiches, I've got the thing that everybody likes. And he just kind of brings out a huge block of cheese. Cheese!
Cheese for everyone.
Yes. But you start tucking in. This is technically a short rest. But those of you partaking of the food, it seems to be fortifying, as if there is not necessarily a magical effect, but maybe an alchemical or even a herbal effect as well. So it is up to you. I mean, certainly Rye will say to Ash, "Are you sure, my friend, that you don't want to at least have some cheese?"
Ash will come over, pull out his large curved knife, hack a lump of cheese off, and then go back to sitting by his pack.
Perfect. So mechanically, before you roll hit dice, this meal does count as a healing potion. So you get 2d4 plus 2 hit points back before you need to start spending anything else. It's almost as if I'm not such a harsh GM after all. Helga, that's a very nice 9 points.
Helga's much improved after that hearty repast.
Of course, you could have
She's
left.
in very good cheer.
Yeah, you could have left right back down at the bottom, collecting fire. This is what I like. It's narrative agency to what you do, which is quite interesting. Yamir, do you want to roll yours? 8,
right.
Very nice. And
that puts me back up to full.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, sorry, that was Ash. Yamir. 6.
That doesn't put you back up to full between the torch and the stirge, right?
Doesn't know.
That's okay.
Oh, but you laid on your hands, so.
Content with where I am, though.
Yeah.
But I would like to check that Ash had, cleaned that blade after hacking things up before he took some cheese.
Oh, of course. He always, well, not that you pay much attention, but he does clean it very carefully before he puts it back in the scabbard.
That's comforting. I might enjoy a rare meat, but rarely a bloody cheese.
During the hour that you stay up here, I mean, it's desolate, deserted, it's quiet. It seems very few attempt to climb up here, and you perhaps would have only come across this beanstalk if you've been wandering deep in these dark woods, well out of the way. There was no sign of footpaths or anything else close by, but you do have an hour, so during this time it's more your passive perceptions. Who's got the highest passive perception?
Me.
Mine is a 13.
Ash, what is yours?
13.
Helga?
That would be a 9.
Okay, so 13's. You can definitely hear what feels or sounds like a storm. You can hear wind blowing, and maybe it's because you're in this little knot hole, and you are high up. Maybe the wind is just quite strong here. But you can also hear and maybe pick up the smell of burnt air, lightning, kind of static as well. It's very faint. It's not endangering you anyway, but you do notice it. Just, it's like being close to a pylon. That sort of little buzzing at the back of your head.
Andy,
Yeah.
I have proficiency in history due to my background. Would any of these things, would I be able to put them together in any way to make any sort of knowledge about this?
Yeah, I mean, certainly give us a go. Yeah, we have sort of, we want secrets to come out. Oh, natural 20.
Ooh,
Beautiful.
nice.
Very good, 23. So you've obviously a student of giants. Like I say, these ancient races centuries ago. But supposedly that many of these castles, it's quite difficult to make stone float. Now, obviously, centuries ago, magic was very much a thing. Even long ago, the age of high magics, you could make stone float. But you've heard that certain giants, those that are au fait with storms, created incredible devices to assist with the buoyancy of such things. It used to work off literally the power within the air itself, this power of the storm, as it were. It quite possibly is one of these engines that you are hearing.
Okay, that's interesting.
You think it's not like a natural storm coming in or anything else, and it's been consistent as well, which makes you to lead that it is almost like the hum of some kind of great storm engine.
As we get towards the end of the rest and we sort of regroup, I would explain this to the rest of the party.
Mm-hmm. Do any of you wish to comment or anything else?
How do you know so much about giants, Ash?
I know things.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you think we should be worried?
Yes, always. Extremely.
Yeah. I mean, to put it into perspective, you're over 1,000 feet in the air on some kind of cloud that is powered by an engine that should not be. Oh yeah, there's quite possibly a giant in the castle as well. Nothing to worry about.
We're just going to get in and get out, get back down.
At least the noise of that sort of thing will aid us if we do try and sneak in.
Yeah. That's a good point. Well made.
Mm-hmm.
But is that what we want to do? I mean, how sneaky is everybody?
I can be fairly quiet.
I tend not to trip over things.
I am also capable of hunting. What about Bry?
Well, I think we can all agree I make a pretty mean PJ sandwich. But I've got my peeler as well.
The hope is to retrieve Berry without having to resort to conflict.
Right. I could put the remaining sandwiches at the bottom of my boots to soften my footsteps.
There's more. I'd take another.
The last one goes. Yeah, very nice, tasty. Well, that's that idea out, but I would much rather it go in you than on you.
I think we better just go for it.
Okay, then let's.
I'm so wasting on this poor Miss Berry.
Okay,
Right.
so how are you going to attempt to move through this castle?
Is there a big single opening?
Yeah,
Are there any windows?
I mean, there are windows, but everything is giant size. So the concept of trying to climb through one of these windows is more trouble than it's worth. To be
I'd
honest, though, sorry, go on.
Can we? Is there vermin entrances or little cracks in the stonework that we could nice and
Yeah.
squeeze through?
I mean, absolutely, this is all ideal for you, and this castle is in ruination. So I kind of want a montage here. I want each of you to think of what you're going to bring to the group, whether it is finding kind of the most optimal and quietest route through, or kind of watching out for the footfalls of everybody else and kind of giving them hints and tips on how to be quiet, etc., etc. And we're all going to roll, and we want some successes rather than failures, and this will get you through the meat of this castle ever closer to where you need to be. So would one of you in particular like to go first and bring something to the table? Is that a thumb up, Helga?
No, that's
No.
me wondering if somebody else wants to go first.
Oh,
She's
I'll
definitely
go.
not a point kind of girl.
This is
So
simultaneous montage.
So Ash will move towards the front of the group, and I'm going to use his perception, sort of reading the ground, and the little bit that the other two have gotten to know him or have seen him moving about in the city and on the road, he seems not necessarily nervous, but he always seems to have his head up watching his surroundings.
Perfect. So you're going to do perception. We'll make these rolls one at a time in a minute once we've got all of the details in. So that is what you are doing. I'm not worried if someone wants to aid Ash, if someone else wants to make a perception roll. But the more interesting and cinematic we can make it, the lower the DC is going to be. So don't worry too much about the stats. This is what I'm sort of saying, what I was saying earlier about move away from the character sheet and let's do something cool. Let's get some cool narrative going. Who wants to go sort of next?
So I was wondering, Helga's, she's used to rigging, and she is very good with a rope. And I wonder if there's a way that she might be able to help kind of fasten something to help us kind of
Well,
get from point to point, if there's a bit of a big gap or something, kind
Yeah.
of scurrying ahead to tie a rope off to.
it's very difficult terrain here. It's sized for much
Yeah.
bigger creatures, and the
Mm.
idea of casting ropes across and tying kind of swings down from one place to another,
Yeah.
or climbing up onto a large kind of fallen stool or table is very, very cool. I mean, that is obviously a background skill. What sort of check would you think that is? A dexterity, or would you?
Yeah, hoping it's something dex based. I mean, it could
I mean,
be.
it could be strength as well because you're physically
No.
climbing and that. But
No, it couldn't. No, I'm definitely. It's something that's always kind of bothered me about 5e. I don't feel like strength is a climbing is a strength based. It's as much about technique and skill as
it's
strength, I feel.
difficult to to reflect the real world in any kind of
Yeah.
TTRP.
I'm definitely taking this more as a dex
Dexterity.
base.
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine with that. Last but not least, Yamir.
Thinking I'd quite like to build on Helga's idea of perhaps aiding to get across these large chasms. So you need to get the rope on, getting a whip out, and with Indiana Jones style, swinging across the chasms.
Absolutely. No, that's really cool. What would you classify as that kind of check?
A whip check.
A whip check. I mean, you can just make you can make an attack roll, as far as I'm concerned, with the whip, but you could do acrobatics. It's up to you how you want to define it.
To do a few extra flips along the way, so I'll make it acrobatics.
Cool. Okay. So we've tied together the narrative of you working together to cross this completely alien environment, sized for creatures not just twice the size of you, but 3, maybe even 4 times the size of you. And let us see how well you do. You need 2 successes minimum, basically, with 3 people. So we'll go with you first. DC's a flat sort of 13. So Ash, give us a perception. Yeah, look at this. Simultaneous. So we'll go to Helga.
Okay.
1 success so far.
It's a 13.
Yeah. This is why I kind of like to give DCs out. Sometimes I forget, I don't do it deliberately, but for transparency, because I like the dice to tell a story. So just as much as I like open dice rolls, if I didn't tell you the DC, you could have rolled higher and I could have said, oh no, it's a failure, or you could have rolled lower and I could have said, it's a success, really. So it's nice. So you have succeeded, but if this one succeeds, the acrobatics, I will basically give you all a degree of advantage for the next scene that we will open up. So,
No pressure.
That's a failure.
well, what's your modifier on acrobatics?
+5.
I
So
would
that-
like to
that's a
offer you
10.
my inspiration and/or one of the special dice, please. Thank you.
You can't pass GM's inspiration.
All right, we'll have a die then.
But you can have multiple dice. That's it. You've used 1 of 4 so far.
I think you should definitely take a die.
Okay. You agree with that, Ash? Right.
Go for it.
So 1d6, I guess.
50-50, you need a 3 or more. So that's probably slightly better than 50-50.
Oh no!
You had to say it, didn't you?
You can use another of your D6s. You've got
Try to
2
fight a
left there.
giant. I don't know. It could be
Okay.
another 1 or another 2.
It could be. That's the way that dice work.
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
Okay, so you try. It's a success. I mean, don't be disappointed. You successfully pass a number of hazards that I would have put in your way. And if I do write this up with Matt, you'll be able to see all those wonderful hazards that you definitely bypassed due to a fantastic montage and not because we're running out of time in the slightest.
It's never a one-shot, Andy.
Well, you see, as soon as you reach the door, you will die. So, I mean, it's literally going to be a one-shot.
One club.
Basically, no. This is where we go to push the door open, and the door slams open the other direction, smushes us all against the wall, and we're just crushed.
So, with the success that you had, and don't be disappointed with that, it was definitely a success. You managed to
moderately
avoid,
successful.
yeah, you managed to avoid a number of hazards. Because this is a one shot and we kind of want to get towards the final potential encounter, rather than exploring the ruins at length, you go towards your objective, focused upon that. Eventually you come to another set of doors and you can hear sort of loud discordant singing going on. The voice slurred. Can any of you speak giant? Okay,
Don't think so.
No.
you have little to no idea what is happening, but you perhaps have heard giant. You don't understand what it is, but a simple peek through the crack in the door, which easily encompasses you. So you can see that there is, in effect, the grand hall here. Again, partially in ruination. What would have been magnificent stained glass windows, now smashed, broken shards of coloured glass littering the floor. At the far end, you can see that there is a massive giant, dishevelled, standing 16 to 18 feet tall. If he was indeed standing, he is sort of slouching on a large throne, an enormous belly in front of him, which is doing him the service of catching all of the food that is falling from his mouth. You notice to one side, though, he has a large club resting against the throne, and there are a number of large, what appear to be sort of oddly shaped boulders upon the other side. He's singing away and sort of stuffing these small miniature pies into his mouth. You also notice that there are small casks that he's drank and discarded. Yeah, like little thimbles. He appears to be incredibly drunk and just enjoying the food, singing away to himself. I do want you all to give me perception rolls, though, please. So that's
a
good.
6.
Nice.
6, yeah. It's okay. It was quite difficult to see amongst all of this ruination and everything else. You can see there's various passageways and chambers and doors leading from this great hall. Everybody can see that. But Yamir, with your 23, you notice something particular. The floor, the central part of the floor, is stained. It's covered with litter, but it has a strange sort of pattern upon it. Very nice, would have been beautiful back in the day, but there's also various kind of depressions and indentations into it, and this looks odd to you. And then you begin to realize what this is. This is what would be considered to be a moon gate, which means somewhere there is a lever or something that can open up, and this is where the floor would open up and they would either push victims out of their castle or perhaps use it as a method to fast fly. If this is a storm giant castle, they could easily descend with the power of magical flight. 'Tis closed. You don't know whether it will open up, but your sharp eyes with the 23, Yamir, notice a large lever. That surely must be it.
Okay.
So you can discuss amongst yourselves.
Is there any sign of a little halfling lady?
No, but as you spend time sort of watching the scene, occasionally he kind of stops singing for a moment and he sort of turns to his left, looking towards a sort of doorway, and shouts. He shouts in common, it's broken common. Hurry up, hungry, want more, seeming to indicate she perhaps is in there.
What's our plan, gents? I think the little lady's over in that cupboard.
He certainly inebriated and distracted, but I'm not sure we can get her out without noticing even in this state.
Couldn't I go along behind him?
Could try.
Or some kind of distraction, maybe?
Well, the lever would open up this gate, but I'm not sure how efficient a distraction that really is, and it's as much of a hazard to us as anybody else.
We could get Giant
What's
to
under
stand
the
on it.
castle?
The moon gate, which obviously Yamir noticed, and with your history, you would know it would open to the empty sky. Basically, that's the
No, I mean,
concept.
literally, like, what's 1,000 feet below us?
Just a forest.
Oh, good. So it's not the town.
No. You're a good hour and a half slow travel away from the town.
So maybe if we get the Giant to stand on that gate thing, someone could pull the lever. Would that work?
Is this a regular-sized lever, or is this a giant?
Oh, it's a giant's lever. I mean, why on earth would they have a little sort of dink?
For the puny slaves to operate, Andy. That's why.
That's right. It's a good.
They enslaved halflings, right? There's probably a halfling-sized lever.
Yeah. It's not, but I mean, it's very good because that would be insane to let the slaves be able to pull their doomsday devices.
Does it look like something that a big, strong barbarian might be able to wrangle, or not so much?
Possibly hasn't been used in centuries.
Okay.
We've only had something to perhaps oil it, or a big, strong barbarian to try and break it, or both.
I don't have any oil.
As you say that,
Rye
says, well, yeah, I've got mayonnaise. Will that work?
Mostly oil, isn't it?
Yeah, oil and eggs.
Yeah. Very slippery. Well, we need to do something.
So am I pulling this lever, or am I serving as a distraction?
I think you need to pull the lever.
So if someone stands on the other side of the gate, it gets its attention. Then Ash pulls the lever as it lunges, hopefully drunkenly, towards us.
Maybe you could trip him up with your whip, Ymir.
I nominate the one with the longbow to be the gnat.
All right then. Is everyone clear what they're doing?
Well,
I'm running like a blue eye.
Longbow.
Oh, yes. I think he meant me.
Yes.
Two wasps are even more annoying than one.
All right. Well, let's get in position then. So can we creep near enough to be able to make a quick break for it?
He's drunk at the moment, and he's singing, and he's so you've got some quite good things on your side, but you most definitely, if he sort of looks up, he might notice you, because there's various bits you could perhaps sort of move and scurry from place to place. At the moment, you're almost like rats to him, and it's pretty much the same. If you make some noise by mistake, he might notice something, and it'll draw his attentions. So it's a great hall, so it's just an oblong
I don't know.
shape.
I mean, it looks pretty run down at this point. It's not very great anymore. It's sort of mediocre hall.
Unfortunately, you've already got Gem's inspiration, so you can't double up.
You wouldn't give it to him for that, would you?
No.
All right.
except I almost said the same thing, so perhaps maybe. It's late.
Yeah.
I've not drank my Red Bull.
I think
I
I would be
want
getting up into position. But I'd
stealth
be getting
rolls
ready to do a
off
run.
all of you.
Yeah.
So this is simultaneous as you all desperately get into position. Whose was that?
22 from Helga.
Yep,
18 from Ash.
good. So you're at the thing. Oh, look at this. I'm just pleased these are stealth rolls, not attack rolls. Okay, so skillfully, there is tumbled bits of roof, smashed shards of this beautiful coloured stained glass that's kind of embedded in various beams and wood, and because of your small size, it is relatively easy. Those numbers easily exceed what you need to get into position. So within the hall, a long oblong at the far end of where you are at the moment, or where you was, is the throne. In the centre of it is this large moon gate. To the one side, to the left or the west, is the lever. You've managed to get to where you consider your positions to be. So Ash, I'm assuming you're the easiest. It's where the lever is. Is that correct? Are you going
With the
to
mayo.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll take the rye with me.
Yep, that's okay. And then Helga and Yamir, you've crept as close as you can towards the edge of the moon gate, ready to draw his attentions. Okay, so I'm going to give you a surprise round. You might want to hold your actions if, like, for instance, Ash, you're waiting for him, but I'll let you decide that. So you all give me initiative rolls. And we will start off with Helga. What did you get?
11.
Yamir?
So 16.
Oh, nice. And last but not least, Ash?
Fitting.
Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. So that's just a straight. Oh, you've got it 5. Yeah, cool. You put your modifier in, even better. Okay, so you're good to go. Yamir, you're on 16. Is there anything you're going to do, or are you waiting for Helga to shoot first?
Oh, we're shooting. I was about to get my flute out and start playing.
Well, if you have a flute, go for it.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I think that's my plan, to pull out my hand-carved, roughly,
Okay.
very roughly carved flute and start to play.
Can you give me performance roll, please?
I can. Does having proficiency in a flute affect anything?
Yeah, you'll get your proficiency bonus.
Proficiency bonus, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just not proficient in performance, so I was wondering.
Yeah, no, you're proficient in that tool, so
In
you'd have
flute
that.
performance.
That's right.
Oh gosh.
I'd like to expend the remaining 2 extra D6s by the time
No.
Okay, so you play the flute, you play it loud. It's not brilliant, but perhaps it serves the purpose. You see the giant sort of begin to sort of look up and squint, his eyes bloodshot, kind of trying to look. He can hear something, some music. It's obviously not his go at the moment, so he can't move or anything, but he's definitely heard the interesting noise coming from behind some fallen masonry. Helga, it is your go.
Yeah, so I'm not as talented as my friend Yamir here, so I'm just gonna pull out my my bow and give him a shot, and I'm gonna look for somewhere that looks tender, like if he's got any sores or any.
Well, he's kind of just got quite a large loincloth on, really. He's got this really large sort of belly. It kind of looks a degree degenerate. This isn't This isn't a storm giant from the mist dressed in magnificent robes.
No,
This is
a
more
brute.
akin to some kind of brutish hill giant.
I'm
But
going to try and
still,
shoot him in the loincloth then.
yeah,
See what happens.
heavily dangerous.
23.
23 hits him.
And is that my cold shot for the loincloth?
You're pushing it. Just do your damage.
I did say a 10. 10 points of damage.
10 is very good.
Mm.
It's terrible. I apologise to our viewers now as you kind of shoot him and you catch him in his inner thigh and it's and he just kind of gets his loincloth and kind of moves it aside, begins to look down, starts fiddling around down there, and he plucks out the small arrow.
I'm going to be screaming at him at the top of my lungs.
Yeah, even more than that. He kind of looks at that and then and he sees,
There's more where that came from.
And he's definitely trying to lift himself up at the moment. He's obviously needs to. This is a surprise round, so.
I would like to point out just narratively that if he's like 18 feet tall, you know, an arrow is still like 2 feet long, so it's still going to sting.
Oh, you've done 10 points of damage to him. He's not resistant or whatever. But I mean, this is still a hill giant, and I mean, I don't advise you to look at their stats at the moment.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
So one assumes that Ash, you're going to do part one, which is apply the mayonnaise.
Can I just apply the halfling with the mayonnaise?
Yeah, absolutely. You can lift him up because it's quite high up. You can sort of lift him.
Yeah. Do I lift him or do I throw him? Do I lift him or do I throw him? I'm going to try and just... Yeah, I'll try and lift him.
Okay.
I can imagine it almost as this comedy moment of him like standing on my face and things like.
I was imagining it far more romantic. I was imagining Dirty Dancing as you sort of lift him up and he's got his jar of mayonnaise that he's about to sort of squeeze out.
You do that, I'm going to throw the halfling.
That's equally as good. I'm a big fan of fastball specials. Successful. You two working together. I apologise again. The large lever is lubricated with mayonnaise. Job done. And now he gets to roll an initiative.
Oh, jeez.
The good news is his joints are not overly known for their dexterity. He gets -1 to this. Oh, that was almost a natural 20. We'll save that to the crit hits. So yeah, so he's going on 5 as well. It's almost as if the dice are telling us a story.
He is drunk.
He is drunk. Please remind me about that because he's poisoned. He has the poison condition because the amount of drink he's doing. So the good news is he's at disadvantage. So I can re-roll that again actually. Because an ability check is that a 1? No, it's a 7.
Yes.
So yeah, it is a 7. If you look at the
the number. Yeah.
So he's on 5. So we move back to Yamir. You are playing the flute, and Helga has just had an eyeful and starts screaming.
I'm not playing that badly. Right, we appear to be doing this, so I will, I guess, start grabbing my gear together, putting the flute away and armouring up.
Okay, so you draw your weapons basically, but you're not going any closer at the moment. You're just staying there, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. Move to Helga.
Okay. So I'm going to be kind of jumping and dancing, and I'll do a little kind of riffing on the flute. Try and do a little bit of a backflip or a cartwheel or a round off or something kind of showy to draw his attention.
Ash shouts from the other side of the room, "Just shoot him again!"
It seems that the shot got his attention, but I mean,
I'm trying to let him know where it came from.
oh, he knows. He saw you, so
Yeah. So I'm taunting him. I'm,
okay.
All the rest of it.
Can you give me an intimidation roll, please?
Ha ha ha!
Either that or a performance roll to try and trick him.
No. I mean, I can, but let's see.
That's nice.
15.
15, yeah, that's good. So you actively trying to make him come towards you. Perfect, and it seems to be a success. You see him actually reaching for one of these misshapen boulders, but with all of your words, he kind of shakes his head and picks up his huge club instead. He's not moving as yet. Ash, are you going to hold your action to try and do this, or?
I will prepare. I'll throw some rope up there around the lever.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my turn to prepare.
Yeah, perfect. So he is going to lumber forward, and he is fast moving as he sort of lumbers forward. This huge club sort of waving around, and I mean, it is you, Helga, that has his attention. He's going to swing it at you.
It's a disadvantage.
It is a disadvantage. 3d8 plus 5 for a Stone Giant's club. He also has plus 8 to hit with the great club. But it is also disadvantage.
Yeah, he's going to hit me, isn't he?
Double ones. Oh, that's a
Jesus.
good job it's disadvantage.
No. I mean, I'm dead anyway.
The club just comes down, and moments before it makes impact, you just notice something. This club, it's made of bread. It's actually a baguette as it strikes you. But instead of doing the damage of a great club, it does substantially less. It's plus 5 to this damage though. So 7 points of damage as you become breaded.
As much damage as a sturge.
Yes. Yeah, this thing sort of is crusty and sort of collapses around you, and you're kind of almost semi-stuck in the soft bread. It's freshly baked as well.
Something second breakfast.
Sorry? What?
Something second breakfast.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's his go. We go back.
So, Andy, am I restrained by the bread?
No, I mean, you've got a choice. You can cinematically, narratively go with the bread, or you can sort of slither out. It doesn't have a restrained mechanic as such, basically. But you can.
And what's the reach with this bread?
It's a large great club. He has reached 10 feet.
10 feet. Okay. So is he standing on the door yet?
Yeah, you've got him with your great taunting. You've managed to pull him forward.
So does that mean the held action comes into play?
Well, I was prompting a held action, but he says he's taking all of his time to prepare.
Okay.
Which is good, because it means that it's not. He's going to have a greater chance of it succeeding, rather than it being just a reaction. I think Ash is quite keen for to kill you by the looks of it. It's like, okay.
He doesn't like halflings. He's racist.
Yeah.
I mean, from earlier we had a lovely sandwich and it gave us a healing potion. Could this one, due to size, be like a superior healing potion? Or...
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately,
put some jam in it.
But we move to Yamir. You've seen this happen. You, for one moment, thought as the bread, as this club hit Helga and disappeared. She disappeared underneath it, you thought that was it, splatted, but then it kind of lifted up and there was a Helga-shaped hole in the bread.
I am going to pause, look up at it, put my whip away and start playing again to the hopes that I'll be kept for entertainment.
Wow. Okay, Helga.
Right. Well, the thing is, I know this giant is going down.
Well, it needs. We don't know how tough it is to pull this thing. You don't necessarily know. It's not an auto success. This.
So I'm going to make my way over to Ash then.
Okay, you're going to run towards Ash.
I'm going
Perfect.
to run towards Ash, and as I'm running, I'm going to say encouraging things to myself and think about nice sandwiches and experience a bit of a second wind.
Very nice.
So that I can maybe.
You might actually
survive
find
this.
some remnants of this bread in your
Indeed.
pockets and stuff.
Yeah, so I should recover 5 hit points, which
Very nice.
is good. That's the end of my go.
Okay. So we do move to Ash.
I will pull the lever.
Okay. So this lever hasn't been pulled in a long time. It's designed for giants. I need a strength athletics. You've been aided, so you will have advantage on this as well. We do need to set a DC. DC is going to be tough. It's going to be 15.
Aided by maydays, or?
Yeah, he's got advantage, so DC is going to be 15. But the giant is standing where you want him to be. Look at that sweet 18. The dice tell a story.
+2.
Yeah. So, yeah, 20. So it doesn't give initially, and you, even with your large size, have to jump. So you are hanging onto this lever as you're trying to sort of pull it down, and you're trying to use your strength and body weight to pull it. Nothing happens for a moment, and you hear the giant who's going next sort of turn, and realizing the distance that you are and what you're doing, he sort of picks his sort of great club, which is the baguette, and begins to throw it. As he begins to launch it, though, your lever gives way. The lever goes down, and so do you. The moon gate opens up and the giant falls. The baguette just flows up into the air, sort of does one or two turns, and then begins to plummet down after him as well.
So I'll do a nice shrill whistling as he's falling and then just go.
Sound effects. Congratulations. You have defeated this individual. So, because of the time and the late hour, it doesn't particularly take you very long or much to find that Berry Baker is indeed chained up in this giant's kitchen, this side room here, and she's very pleased to be freed and reunited with Rye. You have the option of exploring this ruin, or you have the option of heading back to Scarborough. You also have the option of attempting to bring this building down as well. As a little bit of a prologue, give us some sort of narrative of what you would do, and then we will draw a close over this one shot, and we'll be back in 2 weeks for the next giant one shot, with you all successfully leveling up. So give us a little bit, discuss it amongst yourselves. How would you like to have ended this?
Ash would be interested in having a look around, but given what he knows of the history of this place, would strongly recommend against trying to tamper with whatever's keeping it up here, because we can't fly.
Agreed. Looking
mean-
around sounds good.
As long as there's still some more sandwiches, Helga will stay. But or some pie, perhaps, if Miss Berry has some spare pie.
Hmm.
She'd
Absolutely.
be happy to explore for a bit.
Perfect. So what we'll do is I'll give you a little bit of a sort of chat about what you discover and perhaps links to next time. But for now, defeating that giant at first level. Congratulations.
Oof, we killed the hill giant, yeah.
You did indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for playing. As always, I do like to do a quick round table ideas, both on the homebrew mechanics that we've done, or just the story, whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it. So we'll start off with you, Fliss, this time.
Yeah, no, I'm I'm a big fan of the D6s.
Mhm.
So I thought that was a nice mechanic, and I always like how you run skill checks and things, particularly the idea of a blanket roll, because I think one of the things that can be tricky in tabletop role-playing games is we as players inevitably know a lot less than our characters do.
Yeah.
And that's a nice bridge into that, so I quite enjoyed that, and loved seeing morale show up from Shadow Dark as well. So yeah, very fun. It had kind of a fairy tale feel about it, obviously, but that was quite fun. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Did you get the sense, even though it had the fairy tale, that magic was sort of fading though, and this was kind of
Yeah, it was like a
remnants of
broken down fairy
Yeah.
tale. It was kind of what happens after the Brothers Grimm.
Yeah.
And everything's kind of gone to pot, which is quite a nice setting.
Perfect. Thank you. Kyle.
I very much enjoyed, well, dipping back into what I'm more familiar with, the Fisher edition. However, the heavier focus on the cinematics and play, not so much focusing on the character sheet. I found that made the game, I think, flow much better than sticking to the character sheet does.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it'll become more and more apparent the higher level you get, because the idea is, rather than you kind of studying your character sheet to try and find out the best option, you just listen to the narrative and go, you know what, I think my character's going to try and do this, and something cool will happen. Now, it's going to be interesting. If you're all happy to join us, we'll do a little bit of a mini campaign with this. Bryan, any thoughts, ideas, etc.?
It was pleasant to get back to D&D, which I've had a fair amount of experience with now, having run. But the first thing I ever ran for D&D was actually Storm King's Thunder. So,
All right.
Giants again.
Yeah.
But it was good. Got to play in it, and hopefully, I'm getting a chance to finally play a character idea that I've had rattling around for a long time. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I've chose Giants is, as I mentioned at the start, is that the Bigby presents Glory of Giants coming out, and I kind of want to try and give fledgling GMs or anybody who's looking for a little bit of experience some ideas, really, that it doesn't necessarily need to be for higher level players, higher level characters. You can play around with things if you've got terrain, if you've got outs for the characters. You can do things. I mean, turning
Breadsticks.
the breadstick. Yeah, I mean that was deliberate. It could have been a club, but the whole concept of this scenario called Pie in the Sky is he's a glutton and he doesn't have a club, and it obviously makes the players go, oh no. Until that moment, it's also got that Looney Tunes feel of being hit and you disappear underneath it, and then it comes up and you're still sort of standing there with the shape of you in the bread as well. So
I wonder what the boulders were made of.
they were rock cakes, of course they were. Of course they were rock cakes. So yeah, but it is late, and thank you very much for hanging around for so long. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you've enjoyed watching it, please give us a subscribe and a like. We will be continuing to see what happens next. We might be dipping into some other giants. We're going to do probably about 3 giant one-shots, and then we might take it somewhere fresh and out over the next kind of 2 sessions. But yeah, thank you very much for hanging around, and look forward to seeing you all next time. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.